Welcome back.
I'm Susan.
In our last video, we explored the transport system of an automatic film processor. We covered its different subsystems and concluded by discussing the processing cycle and processor capacity. In today's video, we'll begin with a quick look at the film feed section and how its components are triggered. Then, we'll explore the remaining systems of the processor, including the replenishment system, circulation system, and other key components. We'll examine these according to the three main sections of the processor: the developer, fixer, and wash sections. In our last video, we explored what happens the moment an X-ray film is fed into the processor. What seems like a simple action actually sets off a carefully coordinated chain of events. The drive motor powers up, setting the rollers in motion. The safe light switches off. Fresh developer and fixer replenisher are pumped into their tanks. The dryer heater comes to life. The wash water flow increases. And finally, a delay timer activates, producing an audible signal to let the operator know it's safe to feed in the next film. But have you ever wondered, how are all of these processes triggered automatically from a single action? In this video, we'll uncover the mechanism behind this seamless automation and see what makes the entire film processing system work in perfect synchronization. So, how does the processor know that a film has been inserted? There are two main detection systems used to trigger the entire processing cycle. The first is the entry roller detection system. In this system, as the film is pushed against the entry rollers, the upper roller moves slightly upward. This movement activates a set of film detector microswitches, typically 3, which immediately initiate the processing sequence. As long as the film is passing through the entry rollers, these microswitches remain engaged. But once the trailing edge of the film clears the rollers, the upper roller returns to its original position. The microswitches are released, stopping the replenishment process and switching the safe light above the feed tray back on. Meanwhile, the drive motor, dryer heater, and wash water systems continue running, ready for the next film. The second detection method uses infrared detectors. Instead of mechanical switches, this system relies on infrared light beams. As the film enters the processor, it interrupts these beams. The beams remain blocked for as long as the film is passing through, allowing the processor to determine the film's length. The processor also detects the film's width by counting how many infrared beams are interrupted at the same time. By combining the length and width measurements, it calculates the film's total area. This information enables the microprocessor to dispense precisely the right amount of developer and fixer replenisher, ensuring efficient chemical use and consistent image quality with every film processed. In this section, we're going to explore one of the most important parts of the automatic X-ray film processor, the developer section. Now, the developer section doesn't work as a single unit. It is actually made up of 4 subsystems, each with its own specific job to do. These are recirculation, temperature control, replenishment, and drainage. Let's take them one at a time, and by the end, you'll understand exactly how each one contributes to producing a high-quality radiographic image. Recirculation. Let's start with recirculation, and to understand why it matters, let's first think about what happens without it. Picture the developer solution sitting completely still inside the tank. Over time, it becomes uneven. Some areas become chemically concentrated, others become depleted. When films pass through this uneven solution, they process inconsistently. Some areas of the image come out too dark, others too light. The diagnostic quality of the radiograph is compromised. This is the problem that the recirculation system exists to solve. Now, it's true that the rotating rollers inside the processor do create some movement of the solution. But this alone is not enough. The principal contributor to solution agitation is the recirculation system itself. So, how does it work? The recirculation system consists of 4 key components working together. An outlet pipe, which draws solution out of the developer tank. An electric pump, which drives that solution through the system. A filter, which cleans the solution as it passes through. And an inlet pipe, which returns the cleaned solution back into the tank. This cycle runs continuously. Solution is always moving, always being drawn out, filtered, and returned. The filter plays a particularly important role here. Think about it. As films pass through the developer, tiny particles of dirt and debris can enter the solution. If these particles were allowed to remain, they could become embedded in the soft, wet emulsion on the film surface, causing visible artifacts on the final image. The filter captures these particles and removes them safely before the solution is returned to the tank. So, recirculation achieves two things simultaneously. It keeps the chemistry uniform and it keeps the solution clean. But there is a third role the recirculation system plays, and it is equally important. The recirculation pipework also serves as the pathway through which temperature is regulated. Temperature control is arguably the most critical function in the entire developer section. Here is why. Developer chemicals are highly sensitive to temperature. If the solution is too cold, the chemical reactions slow down. Films come out underdeveloped, appearing pale, and lacking in contrast. If the solution is too hot, the reactions accelerate beyond control. Films become overdeveloped, dark, and diagnostically unreliable. For consistent, high-quality radiographic images, the developer must be held at a precise and stable temperature, and the standard value for automatic processors is 35 degrees Celsius. To maintain this temperature accurately, a typical automatic processor uses three components working together. 1. The immersion heater. 2. The thermostat. 3. The heat exchanger. Let us now follow the process step by step. The immersion heater is an electrical heating element submerged directly in the developer solution. When the processor starts up, it heats the solution, gradually raising its temperature toward the target of 35 degrees Celsius. The thermostat continuously monitors the temperature of the solution. The moment it detects that 35 degrees Celsius has been reached, it sends a signal to switch the immersion heater off. Simple enough, but here is where it gets interesting. Any electrical heating element, even after it is switched off, continues to release heat for a short period. This is known as residual heat. The result is that the developer temperature continues to rise past the thermostat's set point, even though the heater is no longer active. Left unchecked, this temperature overshoot would be a problem. And this is precisely where the heat exchanger becomes essential. The heat exchanger works by removing excess heat from the developer solution. In a cold water processor, that is, a processor supplied only with cold water, this is typically achieved by routing part of the developer recirculation piping through the base of the cold water wash tank. As the warm developer flows through these pipes, the surrounding cold water absorbs its excess heat, cooling the developer back down toward the correct temperature. Now, step back and look at what is happening overall. The immersion heater pushes the temperature up. The heat exchanger pulls it back down. The thermostat monitors and coordinates the two. This elegant balance is called a push-pull system. And when combined with the continuous movement of solution provided by the recirculation system, it allows developer temperature to be maintained within just plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius of the target, all day, every day. It's worth noting that not all processors use the same heat exchange method. Some route the cold water supply through the base of the developer tank itself. Others use a fan to blow ambient air over the outer surface of the tank, a principle very similar to the cooling fan and radiator in a car engine. And some use a dedicated heat exchange unit, where hot developer solution flows through a coil surrounded by a jacket of cold water. Each method achieves the same goal, stable, accurate temperature, through slightly different means. And with the introduction of microprocessor control in modern processors, temperature regulation has become even more precise. Today, accuracy of plus or minus 0.1 degrees Celsius is achievable, a level of control that would have seemed extraordinary just a few decades ago. Now let us consider replenishment and why it is necessary. Each time a film passes through the developer tank, it consumes some of the chemical solution. The developer reacts with the silver halide crystals in the film emulsion, and in doing so, it is gradually used up. Over the course of a busy working day, the cumulative effect of processing many films causes the developer to become progressively exhausted, less and less capable of producing the correct degree of development. If nothing were done to address this, image quality would decline steadily throughout the day. The first films processed in the morning would look very different from those processed in the afternoon. Replenishment prevents this from happening. Connected to the developer tank by a pipe is a replenishment tank, an external reservoir that holds a supply of fresh developer solution. At regular intervals, a pump automatically transfers a measured amount of fresh solution from the replenishment tank into the main developer tank. This restores the chemical strength of the developer, keeping it consistent and effective. In departments where auto mixers are installed, that is, automated chemical mixing equipment, the replenishment tank forms part of the system. The auto mixer prepares fresh developer solution at the correct concentration and feeds it into the replenishment tank, ready to be pumped into the processor as needed. The result is a developer that remains chemically active and consistent from the first film of the day to the last. The fourth and final subsystem is drainage, and whilst it may be the simplest of the four, it is no less important. Every developer tank must be periodically emptied. Chemical solutions do not last indefinitely. Over time, even with replenishment, the developer becomes too exhausted to function effectively and must be replaced entirely. The tank also requires regular cleaning to remove chemical residues and maintain hygiene standards. To allow for this, every developer tank is fitted with a drain at its base. This drain is controlled by either a tap or a standpipe, and when opened, allows the entire contents of the tank to be emptied completely. Let us bring it all together. The developer section of the automatic processor relies on four subsystems working in coordination. Recirculation keeps the developer solution moving and clean, ensuring uniform processing of every film. Temperature control, using the push-pull interaction of the immersion heater, thermostat, and heat exchanger, maintains developer temperature at a precise 35 degrees Celsius. Replenishment continuously restores the chemical strength of the developer, ensuring consistent image quality across an entire working day. Drainage allows the tank to be safely emptied for cleaning and chemical replacement. Together, these four systems ensure that every radiographic film that enters the developer section emerges correctly processed, with the clarity, contrast, and diagnostic accuracy that patient care depends upon. And that is the developer section. I hope this video has helped you better understand the topic. Be sure to join us in our next lesson, where we'll continue exploring more concepts in radiography. Until then, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.